Yeah, hello students. Let's start today with a new topic of second year BCom, that is piecemeal distribution of cash. Okay, so this chapter is associated with dissolution of firms. Okay, so here on screen you can see in dissolution of firms we assume three things. First, realization of assets, settlement of debts, and settlement of partners' capital account. They all take place on a same day, that is the day the firm was dissolved. Okay. Now, the assumption that is associated with this is, now, if I tell you that realization of asset, that is sale of an asset, settlement of debts, any outstanding liability, settlement of partners' capital, do you think it is possible that it can be, paid on the same day? Obviously, it's not. Okay. So this assumption itself is an impractical approach. Okay. Right? Why it is an impractical approach? Because, as I said earlier, in practice, realization of asset is not an easy task. You cannot just sell your asset in one day. Okay. It takes regular months, it takes months together to sell the asset of the firms. And जैसे एसेट का पैसा आता है, जैसे आप एसेट को बेचते हो, once you sell the asset, the money of the asset, the money out of realization is not received in one payment. It is received in bits and pieces. It is received in parts. Okay. And this bits and pieces, or this several parts of payment that you get out of realization of asset, that is known as piecemeal distribution. Okay. So the creditors of the firm will be paid their dues as and when the firm has its funds with them. Okay. Yeah. So creditors are paid part by part. The distribution of available funds is gradual. It is piecemeal. Okay. Now I'll give you an example, a very small example. Like, say, for example, if my creditors, I am supposed to pay them, say, 1,20,000. Okay. How much? 1,20,000. Okay. And say I get I have three assets, I sell them. So out of the first realization money, okay, I get say around 40,000. Out of the second realization money, I get say 80,000. Okay. So how am I going to make this payment of 1,20,000? Obviously, I will first pay 40 to the creditor, because initially in the first realization, the money that I received is 40 and the balance money 80. I will pay when this money comes to me, the second realization. And that's how my dues for creditors will become nil. Okay, like this. So that is what I meant to say, that in realization, that realization of an asset is not done on one day. Okay, it is a gradual process, it is a slow process, it takes time. And as in when the money comes, the funds are paid to the creditors or to the outside parties. Okay, so here we go. Just a minute. Okay, so I hope till here it is clear to everyone about what is piecemeal distribution of cash. Okay, now this is the order of payment. So realization expenses will be kept aside first, then secured creditors, unsecured creditors, partners loan, and partners capital. Okay, so you have to follow this step at the time of making payment of your liabilities, obviously. Okay, so make a note of this. Realization expense. Order of payment may first is realization expense, then secured creditors, then we will pay the unsecured creditors, then we will pay the partners loan, and at the end partners capital. Okay, so this is a structure that I have prepared. Yeah, liabilities are divided into three, that is external liability, internal liability, and the capital account. Okay, external liability it has two types, preferential liability and others. Preferential liability may, it is first preference given to realization expenses, okay, then government dues, employees dues, and others may it is secured and unsecured, okay. Then I made it very clear here, government dues includes income tax, municipal taxes, and employees dues include all outstanding wages or PF contributions. Okay, so this structure you have to remember for making piecemeal distribution. Okay, I just repeat, your liabilities or your dues or your outstanding amount will be first with respect to external liability, which is further divided into two, preferential and others. Under preferential, it is realization expense, government dues, and employees dues. And others may it is secured creditors and unsecured creditors. Internal may it is payment of loan of partners loan I mean to say, and last is capital. Okay, now there is a method which is applied for piecemeal distribution of cash. Okay, that's called as the proportionate capital method or the excess capital method, also known as the highest relative capital or the quotient method or the surplus capital method. So these are the various synonyms of this method. So they all mean one and the same. तो ये इनके different नाम हैं, आप याद रखिए. Proportionate capital is also known as excess capital, is also known as highest relative capital, also known as quotient method, also known as surplus capital method. Okay. So under this method, capital account of partners is adjusted according to their profit sharing ratio. Okay. I meant the PSR, that's the profit sharing ratio. Okay. Now, how are you going to, evaluate your surplus capital method? Okay. In this, we will first calculate the adjusted capital. Now, adjusted capital is capital plus the opening capital plus any reserves less any losses, accumulated losses. Okay, capital, add your reserves less your accumulated losses. This gives adjusted capital. Okay, so see, it includes adjustments made in capital balances of the partners, that is adjusting current account, reserves, P&L account, etc. Okay, so if there is any current account balance also given to you, so please, even include that current account. If it is a credit balance, add. If it is a debit balance, then you subtract. Okay, if there are any drawings, then you subtract like this. Okay, so this is what I meant by adjusting the capital. Now, then we will calculate the unit capital. Now, unit capital is nothing but, these are the steps, and dear, 5 steps of arriving at surplus capital method. So, unit capital is the adjusted capital, that the one which you will get in step 1. Step 1 में जो आपको adjusted capital मिलेगा, divided with your PSR. Okay, this will give you unit capital. Okay, fine. Then comes the base capital. Base capital is very simple. It is the lowest of the unit capital. So if say I have 3 partners A, B, C, unka unit capital is say 6,000, 4,000 and say 2,000. So base capital kaise milega? Lowest of the unit capital. Now out of this 3, which is the lowest figure? This is the lowest figure. So this will be called as the base capital. Okay, yeah. So it is the lowest amount of capital in unit capital. Okay. Next is proportionate capital. So proportionate capital is what? Now when you get this base capital 2000, multiply this with the PSR, profit sharing ratio. So say the profit sharing ratio is 2:1:1. So 2000 into 2 will give me how much? 4000. 2000 into 1 will give me how much? 2000. Again, 2000 into 1 will give me how much? 2000. So this answer that I got is known as the proportionate capital. Okay. And then excess capital. Now, excess capital will be what? It will be your step 1. Step 1 में आपको क्या मिलेगा? Sorry, it will be your adjusted capital minus proportionate capital. Okay, it is your adjusted capital minus the proportionate capital. Okay, so it is step 2 minus step 5. Okay, so please mention it here. It is adjusted capital minus your proportionate capital. Okay, adjusted capital you will get it from step 1, and proportionate capital you will get it from step 4. Okay, so step 1 minus step 4 will give you your excess capital, that is adjusted capital minus proportionate capital. Okay, so this is how you arrive at your excess capital method. Anyways, when we are doing sums, more clarity you will get about the calculations. Okay, now let's move on to a basic one. Okay, so what are you going to do in excess in piecemeal distribution of cash? When I am supposed to prepare piecemeal distribution of cash, my solution will be divided into 3 parts. The first part will be this, which I just discussed, surplus capital method. That is, you are going to make a statement of excess capital method. Okay, I'll just write it here. Okay, what are you going to prepare in your solution? You're going to prepare statement of excess capital method. Then we will be preparing a statement of order of payment. ओके वो प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर जिसकी हम बात किए थे, पहले क्या पे करेंगे हम, प्रेफरेंशियल लाइबिलिटी, फिर हम पे करेंगे अदर लाइबिलिटी, फिर इंटरनल लाइबिलिटी एंड देन कैपिटल अकाउंट्स. ओके, दैट. And then the third one will be statement of piecemeal distribution of cash. Piecemeal distribution of cash. Okay, so these are the 3 requirements you have to think about. Okay, statement of excess capital method, then you will prepare the order of payment, and then piecemeal distribution of cash. Okay, so yeah, so this is the theoretical part. I would just like to conclude once again. In the next link, I will be starting with the solving of the sums. So just a quick recap. When you are at the time of dissolution of firms, what is the assumption? Assumption is that realization of asset against settlement of debts and settlement of partners' capital account happens on the same day. But in reality, it does not, because sale of asset is a very lengthy process and it takes time for the asset to sell. It is a gradual. Gradual means a very slow process. It does not take place in a day, in a week. It takes months together. Okay, so whenever the money comes out of sale of asset, that money is used for making or for clearing the dues, you can say. Okay, so the dues pay करने का ये order है: realization expenses, secured creditors, unsecured creditors, partners loan and partners capital. Okay, so in the form of this tree diagram, I have explained external liabilities, internal liabilities, then the capital, what includes preferential liability, what do you mean by government dues, what do you mean by employee dues. Okay, and then I was talking about the proportionate capital method or the excess capital method. Okay, where I said that we have to calculate these different types of capital to arrive at excess capital. What are we supposed to calculate? The adjusted capital, that is the opening balances of capital, add reserves to it, subtract the accumulated losses, you will arrive at adjusted capital. Then we will calculate unit capital. Unit capital is nothing but adjusted capital divided by the individual PSR, profit sharing ratios. Once you arrive at unit capital, you can get your base capital, which is the lowest of the unit capital. Once you arrive at unit capital, once you arrive at base capital, you have to multiply it with your individual PSR. You will get your proportionate capital. So here you can see the formula that I have written. It is base capital multiplied with the individual PSR. And then excess capital, that is adjusted capital, that is your first step minus your fourth step. Okay. So in the next video, I will be sharing the solution of the same. Okay. Till then, happy learning.